Hello and welcome to week 3 of the online course development program. I'm sure you're all feeling the same way I am, is that this is sort of racing along, but we are working on this together. So each week you will get a video like this from myself, just sort of keeping us on track, giving you some updates, need be, and just talking about where we are in the process. For those of you on the fast track of the 4-week, again, as I said in our one-on-ones, is you're sort of doing 2 of these topics per week. The rest of us are doing 1 topic per week. But for the larger group, we are on week 3. So week 2 was all about objectives, finishing up from week 1. So we are finishing that up. There's lots of great activities and things to be doing in your workbook. Please let me know if you have any questions about those as we go through. I have been receiving questions from some of you, so that's great. I will be following up, or as myself or Mark Dorsey. So we're just starting up week 3. And week 3 is all about online assessments. And within topic for 3, I just want to direct your attention to this article. It's a linked article from Carnegie Mellon on a bit of a reminder on aligning your assessments with your objectives. And there's some really good work here with Bloom's taxonomy and exactly what you're looking for from your students, examples of assignments or assessments for that, and then how to measure it. So again, it's a great review for those of you who have experience with that, with lining up your objectives, or some new information. I'm not sure. But I would really recommend taking a look at this short article. Carnegie Mellon is a great source. You might find some other information within Carnegie Mellon if you're not familiar with their site. Okay, so when we're also looking at assessments, it sort of leads naturally into assignment types and what works well online. So we are going to spend more time on this later on, but the first step is to think about what you're doing in your classroom and then look at, well, what could this look like online? And what are the different types of assignments that are available to me as a teacher? What are other people using? So when we look at assignments within online learning, the 4 here are sort of the top 4. These are the meat and potatoes of most online courses, and that's what you'll see in most of the learning management systems, whether you're in Blackboard, as the colleges, or other colleges with a desire to learn. Most of them have these 4. So that's blogs, wikis, journals, and online discussions. There are other ones here, such as having them work with mind maps. So if you use a lot of mind maps in your courses, please let me know. There are some great online tools that we can use. Web quests, reaction postings. If you've taken any formalized training online as an adult, reaction postings are pretty popular with online masters or BA programs where you go away and read an article or watch a video or participate in something and then come back and react to it within a discussion board. So it is linked tightly with discussion boards. As they're also with the textbook providers, there's some really great tutorials or labs that you can hook into. You will never have the time to create all these media objects, so it's being able to find those and use your expert lens to know if they're good or not. So finding tutorials or labs that make sense to your program, to your course. Online literature searches, practice exercises, e-portfolios is becoming very popular. So if you'd like to use e-portfolios, we have several people that have done that before. Within Blackboard, there's also tools you can use outside of Blackboard, such as Google Sites. So if you want your students to create something that then they can then take with them as a portfolio to move on to job interviews or placements, you can do that. And the last one that I've thrown in here is surveys. So surveys are run the same way in Blackboard as quizzes are, but they're anonymous. So you can get some feedback from your students in here, so I just wanted to throw it in there. When we're looking at how to choose an assignment type over another, sometimes I'll work with an online teacher and they're having problems with let's say a discussion board. Sometimes it falls to these 4 quadrants of what you're looking for your students. Are you looking for them to collaborate with each other? Are you looking for them to maybe have some private thoughts? So I'm going to throw the big 4 up there. So when we're looking at journals, so journals fall on this end of the spectrum where there really is no collaboration. Only yourself and the students can view what's inside their journals. You can leave comments, but really it is their journal. So here it's right on the very top of the scale for privacy and ownership. Those are their thoughts, their ideas, their progression through your course, but really nothing else going on with other students. Within blogs, if we're looking at the traditional sense of the blog where each student has a blog, it's pretty much like a journal, but the rest of the class or their group can read their blog and they can comment. Moving over to the online discussion. So this was the most collaborative tool that we had before the wikis came in, and the wikis are fairly new. So online discussions, if you've had experience with them, is I leave a thread, you come in and comment, you leave a thread. So really we're not collaborating. It has been used for that, but it's more for a discussion. So we're moving along the collaboration spectrum, and really like now there is no privacy or even ownership because this is up for discussion. And the last one being the wiki. So the wiki is a completely collaborative space where the students you can go in as the teacher and add headings or add instructions, but the students can go in, add a paragraph of text, add some pictures, add web links. The next student in could go in and delete all of that and add their own thoughts. So really it is collaborative. If you think of Wikipedia, it's the biggest wiki in the world where multiple people are collaborating to create these articles. But really there's no privacy, and more importantly there's no ownership. So if we looked at this in an extreme example, which really hasn't happened, but if we looked at this extreme example where a teacher says, okay, I'm gonna have students talk about their experience with death and dying with patients, so we're relating this back to your own experience with death and dying, and you ask them to do that in a discussion. Well, that might be a very private thing for those students, and really you have to look at what you're looking for. Worse yet, you'd have it in a wiki. So again, I'm not saying that has happened, but if a student went in and added their thoughts to what happened when a relative passed away, and another student unwittingly deletes that and adds their own, you could see how that could cause problems. But this is something we're going to come back to, but I like to introduce it now with getting yourself thinking about these 4 main types of assignment types. And for those of you who filled out the tech readiness questionnaire, you will have tip sheets based on these. If you indicated that you've had issues with those, or if you have never used them, you'll have that in your custom tip sheet package. Okay, so just finishing up here, I've had my one-on-one meetings with almost everyone. Our group meetings start up next week. I'm going to be sending out meeting requests for Monday and Wednesdays. You just need to accept one of the two. So accept one, decline the other, or accept one and ignore the other. And I'd like to give you a little preview each week of what's coming up. So next week, so again Monday and Wednesday, the online environment, learning-centered design, and active learning in the online classroom are sort of broad strokes overview. So the online environment, we're going to look at the differences between face-to-face teaching and online teaching and what are the strengths and weaknesses of each. The learning-centered design, if you aren't familiar with that, is looking at how important it is to put the learning in the center of online learning versus being content-centered or teacher-centered, because you're removed from the situation. You're no longer there, and the content is usually not interesting enough or motivating enough to hook our students. That's would be like sort of sending them a textbook and hoping that they're interested enough to read it. So how can we center the learning in this to hook them, to motivate them, to assess their learning? How can we do that? And the last piece, active learning in the online classroom, is actually going to be done by Greg Rodrigo, who's our active learning expert, and he's going to talk about, okay, how could this, here's some activities we do in our classroom, how could these be done online? So it's a really great kickoff. Mark Dorsey will also be joining us, so you can get to meet him as well. So again, I'll send out meeting requests. You just need to accept one or the other, and then we'll go from there. So as always, please email me or call me if you have any questions, and we'll keep working on this together. For those of you in the compressed timeline, I know you really are feeling the pressure, and I will be doing your 2-week check sooner than the other group, which will be on your milestones document. And for those of you who have not met with one-on-one, even if we can't get you to come in due to your schedule, I will be contacting you, either myself or Mark, to get your milestones document completed, so we're just all on the same page. Alright, that's it for now, guys, and I'll talk to you next week.